Have you ever wondered why some people get exactly what they want, while others spend their lives waiting? It's not luck, it's not privilege, it's not timing, it's clarity, it's desire, it's the unshakable decision that I will make this happen, no matter how long it takes, no matter how hard it gets. The truth is, the world doesn't give you what you wish for. It gives you what you decide you must have. There's a fire inside you, but most people never let it burn long enough to change their lives. They get excited, then scared, inspired, then distracted. They wait for signs. They wait for proof. They wait for the right moment. And while they wait, life moves on without them. But those who truly succeed, those who rise, build, and transform, they don't wait. They move. They act before they feel ready. They commit before they have guarantees. They understand one timeless truth: desire is the starting point, but only discipline brings it to life. In this episode, we'll explore how Stoic wisdom and modern psychology converge on a simple but life-altering principle. You don't get what you want, you get what you decide to become. 12 steps, one path. Let's begin. 1. It all begins with a burning desire. There's a quiet difference between wishing and wanting, and an even greater one between wanting and needing. Most people say they want a better life, more freedom, success, clarity, love, power, but their actions say otherwise. Because deep down, it's not a burning desire, it's a passing thought, a daydream, a hope they revisit when they're tired or frustrated, only to forget again by morning. But those who change their lives, they don't just want something, they burn for it. Napoleon Hill said, "The starting point of all achievement is desire, and not the vague kind, not the polite, quiet kind, but the kind that keeps you up at night, the kind that refuses to leave your chest, the kind that hurts when ignored. If your dream doesn't ache, it's not ready to live, because real desire isn't comfortable. It disrupts your patterns. It pulls you away from distractions. It makes you say no to what's easy so you can build what's meaningful. Desire is not weakness. It's not indulgence. It's fuel, if you treat it as such." The Stoics didn't chase external desires mindlessly. They trained their desires inward, toward virtue, toward mastery, toward becoming something more. What matters is not that you desire, but what you desire and how fiercely you're willing to pursue it. This kind of hunger can't be taught, but it can be uncovered, and it often comes from pain, from being sick of your own excuses, from realizing you've been living beneath your potential for far too long, from looking around and saying, "This can't be all there is." Ask yourself right now, what is the one thing you want so badly that you'd trade comfort for it, that you'd wake up early for, train for, sacrifice for, not because it sounds good, but because it feels necessary? Most people never get what they want because they never get clear about it, but even worse, they never get hungry enough for it. Desire is the first spark. It won't do the work for you, but it will start the fire. And if you guard that fire, if you protect it from doubt, from distraction, from delay, it will begin to shape everything you do. It will rearrange your life. Your standards will change. Your boundaries will change. You'll stop tolerating anything that keeps you small. That's what burning desire does. It transforms want into must. It takes a dream and demands reality. And once that decision is made, once that flame is lit, nothing will ever be the same again. 2. Define what you really want with brutal clarity. Desire alone is not enough. If your goal is vague, your results will be vague. If your vision is blurry, your effort will be scattered. Most people don't fail because they lack talent or even discipline. They fail because they're not specific. They chase shadows. They move with urgency, but not direction. They want success, but can't define it. They want freedom, but have no plan. And as a result, they run in circles, exhausted, but going nowhere. The truth is, the universe doesn't respond to confusion. Neither does your mind, your brain, your habits, your instincts. They all need a clear target. Without it, you'll spend your energy reacting to life instead of shaping it. Epictetus said, "First say who you want to be, and then do what you have to do. Not what sounds nice, not what others expect, but who you truly want to be." That's the first courageous act. To stop pretending you don't know. To stop hiding behind maybe and start declaring, "This is who I choose to become." But that kind of clarity requires honesty, the kind that cuts. You have to strip away the noise, let go of what sounds impressive, and focus on what feels true. That might mean giving up goals that once defined you. It might mean admitting you no longer want what you thought you did. It might mean letting go of safety so you can chase what truly sets your soul on fire. Clarity isn't always comfortable, but it's freeing, because once you define what you want, really want, your priorities start aligning. Distractions become easier to ignore. Your time starts to reflect your values. You stop chasing everything and you start building something. So ask yourself, can you define your goal in one sentence? Can you describe the kind of person you must become to reach it? Can you picture your life after achieving it? What it feels like, what it looks like, what it demands? If the answer is no, pause, reflect. Don't move another inch until you can answer with full conviction. You don't need more motivation, you need a sharper aim, because once your aim is clear, your discipline has a purpose, and that's when momentum begins. Desire starts the engine, but clarity gives you the map. 3. Turn desire into an unwavering decision. Wanting something means nothing until you decide. You can want freedom, success, love, strength, but until you draw a line and say, "This is non-negotiable," it remains a wish, and wishes are soft. They dissolve in doubt, fear, and delay. But decisions are hard. Decisions move mountains. Because a real decision is not a moment. It's a commitment that rewires your entire life. Nietzsche once said, "Man's destiny is made of decisions, not chance." And you feel that truth when you stop waiting, when you stop looking for signs, when you stop wondering if you're worthy or ready. Because deep down, you already know what you want. The only thing missing is the courage to claim it, without permission. You see, most people never commit fully. They leave escape routes open. I'll try. I'll see how it goes. Maybe one day. But the ones who transform their lives, they decide. They remove plan B. They remove the back door. And that internal switch, that quiet but absolute "I will," changes everything. It doesn't mean you'll feel certain every day. You won't. But when the decision is real, you keep showing up anyway. You push through the resistance. You act before you feel ready. You stay focused when doubt creeps in. Not because it's easy, but because there's no other option anymore. Think of it like this. Desire is the match. Decision is the flame. Without decision, the match burns out. But with it, the fire spreads. It consumes old habits, old excuses, old versions of you that no longer serve where you're going. And here's something most people won't tell you. Your life will start testing your decision the moment you make it. People will question it. Circumstances will challenge it. Your mind will doubt it. That's not a sign to quit. It's proof you've finally stepped onto the path. So if you're tired of almosts, of maybes, of starting strong and fading fast, stop wishing, stop waiting, decide. Decide who you are. Decide what you're building. Decide what you're willing to sacrifice. And then, without fanfare, begin, quietly, ruthlessly, daily. Because when your decision becomes stronger than your doubt, nothing can stop you. 4. Faith isn't waiting, it's acting with conviction. There's a dangerous myth that floats around quiet minds, the idea that faith means waiting, waiting for signs, waiting for confidence, waiting until the fear is gone, until the path is clear, until life gives you some kind of permission. But real faith is not passive. It doesn't sit in the corner and hope. It moves, it acts, it builds, even when nothing looks certain. Napoleon Hill captured it powerfully. Faith is the chemical substance that, when mixed with the vibration of thought, can be translated into spiritual energy. In other words, faith is not a mood, it's motion. It's energy turned into action. It's not just belief, it's a choice to behave as if what you seek is already real. And this is where most people fall short. They say they believe, but their actions are hesitant. They say they're committed, but they keep waiting for a guarantee. What they really want is certainty before action. But the universe doesn't work that way. The Stoics knew this. They didn't pray for success. They prepared for it. They didn't wait for courage. They moved with it, even when their hands shook. Faith is building the foundation while the roof is still invisible. It's walking the path even when fog covers the next step. It's trusting that your consistent effort will shape the outcome, even if the timeline is unclear. And that kind of faith, the kind that drives behavior, that endures silence, that holds firm when the evidence is missing, is rare, but it's powerful. So ask yourself, if you truly believed in your goal, how would you act today? What would you build? What would you say no to? What would you stop procrastinating on? That's your answer, because faith isn't measured by your words, it's measured by your movement. And don't misunderstand, this doesn't mean pretending you have no fear. It means you walk with it, you move through it, you act, not because you're fearless, but because you've decided that your vision is stronger than your hesitation. When you act with conviction, even quietly, the world shifts. People take you more seriously. You take yourself more seriously, and your own mind begins to trust you again, because nothing builds confidence like action. Not motivation, not planning, not affirmation, action. So stop waiting. Faith isn't about believing that everything will work out perfectly. It's about showing up powerfully, even when you have no evidence that it will. Move forward now, not with certainty, but with conviction, because that's what brings the future closer. 5. Repeat your desire until it becomes your identity. Your mind believes what you tell it, especially when you repeat it with emotion. And over time, those repeated thoughts become something far more powerful than goals. They become identity. We often underestimate the power of repetition. We think repeating a phrase or a belief is silly, that it won't change anything. But here's what most people don't realize. Your mind is always listening. Every time you say, "I'm tired," "I can't," "I'm not ready," "it's too late," you're teaching your mind who you are. You're building a story, and that story becomes your limitation. But the opposite is also true. Carl Jung said, "You are not what happens to you, you are what you choose to be." That choice begins with what you tell yourself, because what you affirm, you reinforce, and what you reinforce, your mind begins to defend. Whether it's helping you or hurting you, that's why repetition matters. Napoleon Hill called this autosuggestion, deliberately feeding your subconscious with thoughts that support your vision. Not vague affirmations, but emotionally charged truths you're deciding to live by. Not, "I hope I become disciplined," but "I am the kind of person who follows through, no matter what." Not, "I want success," but "I create success through consistent, intentional action." It's not about lying to yourself. It's about programming your mind to align with your highest standards, not your lowest doubts. Here's the challenge, though. Most people don't repeat what they want. They repeat what they fear. They dwell on the worst-case scenario. They talk about failure more than they visualize success, and without knowing it, they're hypnotizing themselves into mediocrity. But you can break that. Right now, today, start repeating what you want to become, even if you don't fully believe it yet. Say it out loud. Write it down. See it. Feel it. Repeat it so often that your nervous system starts to believe it's already true, because your brain doesn't distinguish between what's real and what's vividly imagined. It just follows the dominant message. And once your desire becomes your identity, everything shifts. You'll start acting differently, not because you're trying to force it, but because it feels natural. A runner runs, a writer writes, a leader leads. Not because they're forcing themselves, but because that's who they are. So what story are you repeating? What identity are you reinforcing with your words, your thoughts, your habits? If it doesn't serve the future you want, change the narrative. Then say it again and again until it's not a hope anymore. It's a truth, a part of you, unshakable. 6. Fuel your desire with visualized emotion. The mind doesn't move for logic, it moves for emotion. You can list all the reasons you want to succeed: freedom, impact, security. But if those ideas don't stir something deep inside you, they won't drive you through discomfort. They won't hold you steady when nothing is working. That's why visualization is not just a tool, it's a weapon. A way to imprint your desire so powerfully into your subconscious that it becomes a felt experience, not just a distant goal. Napoleon Hill said, "Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve." But the missing piece for most people is this: the mind must feel. It's not enough to see the goal, you must live it in your imagination. You must attach emotion to it. Smell the room where it happens. Hear the applause. Taste the freedom. Feel the pride in your chest when you finally become who you've always known you could be. Because your nervous system doesn't distinguish between what's real and what's vividly imagined, it responds to intensity. So the clearer, louder, and more emotional your mental image becomes, the more your body prepares to make it reality. You start walking differently, speaking differently, choosing differently, not out of force, but because the vision feels realer than the doubt. The Stoics weren't known for visualization in the modern sense, but they practiced a form of it. They rehearsed hardships in their minds. They visualized loss, pain, failure, not to manifest it, but to neutralize its power. So, when life threw its worst, they were already prepared. You can do the same in reverse, not by fearing the worst, but by emotionally training for the best. So, when it arrives, you don't sabotage it. You don't second-guess it. You simply step into it, because it's already familiar. But here's the catch. Lazy visualization does nothing. You can't just daydream for 2 minutes and expect transformation. Visualization is a discipline, a ritual, a deep emotional practice that demands presence. 5 minutes a day, where you feel the outcome before it exists. Not once a year when you feel motivated, but daily. Until your subconscious stops resisting and starts creating. So find your vision, close your eyes, place yourself inside it. Not outside looking in, inside living it. Where are you? Who's with you? How do you move? What are you wearing? What does your morning feel like? What problems have disappeared? Then anchor it. Burn it into your emotional memory. Because once your mind accepts the experience as real, your life will begin to align around it. Not instantly, but inevitably. You're not waiting for the future. You're training for it. 7. Act from the future, not from present fear. Most people act from where they are, not from where they want to be. They move based on their current fears, current limitations, current circumstances, and that's exactly why they stay stuck. Because when your actions are dictated by your present situation, you keep reinforcing it. You can't create a new life using the mindset that built the old one. Change begins the moment you act as if the future version of you is already real. Alan Watts once said, "The only way to make sense of change is to immerse yourself in it, to move with it." That means you don't wait until you feel confident to act confidently. You don't wait until you're ready to start showing up like someone who is. You move as if the deal has already gone through, as if the discipline is already built, as if the door is already open, and eventually your actions start pulling reality in that direction. This isn't about pretending. It's not about faking success or lying to yourself. It's about alignment, making your daily behavior match your desired identity. If you saw yourself as focused, would you be scrolling for hours? If you believed you were powerful, would you let fear stop you from speaking your truth? If you knew without a doubt that your vision would succeed, would you still hesitate to begin? Here's the brutal truth. Fear will always have a reason to stop you. It will point to your bank account, your past, your environment, your age, your mistakes. It will try to convince you that now isn't the time, that you're not qualified, that you should wait. But the future you want isn't built on what you're afraid of. It's built on what you choose to become. And that choice must begin before you feel ready. Acting from the future is an emotional posture. It's making decisions based on who you want to be, not who you've been. It's waking up and asking, what would the focused version of me do today? It's choosing the uncomfortable thing because that's the path forward. It's treating your time like it matters, your goals like they're real, and your growth like it's non-negotiable. This is how leaders are made, not by waiting for permission, but by stepping into their role before the world claps for them. And you can start today. Not with a perfect plan, but with a powerful question. If I already were the person I dream of becoming, how would I show up right now? Let that version of you guide your actions, in how you speak, how you dress, how you train, how you rest, how you think. Because the fastest way to collapse the gap between who you are and who you want to be is to stop acting like they're two different people. And once you make that shift, once your actions begin to reflect your future instead of your fear, the world starts responding differently, not because it changed, but because you did. 8. Change doubt into daily discipline. There's a particular kind of pain that doesn't come from failure, but from inaction. That heavy silence you feel at night when you know you could have done more, not to impress anyone, but for yourself. that dull ache that grows over time, not because life is too hard, but because your days are filled with hesitation instead of progress. That's the hidden cost of doubt. It doesn't just delay your goals, it quietly drains your spirit. We often imagine doubt as something loud, something we can easily identify. But the truth is, doubt is subtle. It shows up as the voice that says, "Start tomorrow." The inner critic that whispers, "Who do you think you are?" The rational tone that tells you, "You're just being realistic." And the worst part? It sounds like your own voice. It pretends to be your wisdom. But it's not wisdom. It's fear, dressed up in logic. Napoleon Hill said it best. Perseverance is the sustained effort necessary to induce faith. Most people think you need faith before you can act, that you need to believe in yourself fully before you commit. But it's the other way around. You act first. You show up in the dark. You take one step before you see the full path. And as you act, again and again, despite the doubt, faith is born. Not from talk, but from consistency. This is where the Stoics were masters. They didn't indulge in overthinking. They acted, daily, with purpose. They believed virtue was not found in thought alone, but in action aligned with principle. Marcus Aurelius, in the midst of war and responsibility, reminded himself, "At dawn, when you have trouble getting out of bed, tell yourself, 'I have to go to work,' as a human being." That's the essence of discipline. You do it not because it's easy, but because it's necessary, because you've made a commitment to yourself that doesn't change with your mood. And that's how you defeat doubt. Not with motivation, not with positive thinking, but with repetition, with habit, with showing up when it would have been easier to make excuses. Think about it. Every time you doubt yourself and act anyway, you chip away at that doubt. You create evidence. You tell your mind, "Yes, I hear the fear, but I don't obey it anymore." That's how you build discipline. Not in a single heroic effort, but in the choice to keep going when the outcome is still uncertain, when it's hard, when no one is watching, especially then. Let's bring it down to the practical. Doubt says, "What's the point of going to the gym today? It won't change anything." Discipline answers, "It's not about today, it's about who I'm becoming." Doubt says, "You're not good enough to write that book." Discipline responds, "Maybe not yet, but I won't get better by doing nothing." Doubt says, "No one will care about your work." Discipline says, "That's not my job. My job is to do it anyway." Discipline is your response to fear. It's your refusal to be ruled by moods, by doubt, by the inner storms. It's the anchor. And once it's strong enough, it carries you through the days when faith is missing. Because here's the secret. You don't need to feel confident to act. You need to act until you become confident. And confidence? That's not the absence of doubt. It's the result of overcoming it, repeatedly. It's what's built in the dark, in the silent moments when you kept your promise to yourself, and no one applauded, but you did it anyway. So how do you begin? Start small, one promise, one habit, one thing you can control, and do it every day, not for results, but for respect. Because every time you follow through, you're telling your mind, "I am someone who does what they said they would do." And that identity, that quiet power, is what separates those who dream from those who become. You don't need to eliminate doubt to move forward. You need to act despite it, to use it as fuel, to let it remind you that your mind is trying to protect you, but that you're no longer living from protection. You're living from purpose. And when your discipline becomes stronger than your doubt, there's nothing you can't do. 9. Organize your knowledge with purpose. We are drowning in information and starving for wisdom. We read, we listen, we collect ideas, but most of it never touches our lives. It sits there, unorganized, unused, forgotten, and the sad truth. Knowledge that isn't applied is just noise. It doesn't help you. In fact, it can overwhelm you, because the more you consume without clarity, the more confused you become, and confusion leads to paralysis. That's the danger of learning without direction. Seneca, the Stoic philosopher and one of history's most practical thinkers, warned about this very thing. He said, "It's not that we have little time, but that we waste a lot of it. We waste it chasing new ideas instead of mastering the ones that matter. We binge podcasts, YouTube videos, books, not to grow, but to feel productive without actually changing anything. But true learning isn't about volume. It's about purpose. It's asking, why am I learning this? What am I doing with it? How does it help me become who I've decided to be?" That's the difference between knowledge and wisdom. Knowledge fills your mind. Wisdom guides your actions. The Stoics believed in minimalism, not just with material possessions, but with thoughts. They didn't obsess over collecting more. They focused on remembering what they already knew. Repetition, reflection, practice. Their goal wasn't to become encyclopedias, it was to become better human beings. And for that, they knew, you don't need everything, you just need what works, and the discipline to live by it. So how do you organize your knowledge with purpose? Start by separating what's interesting from what's essential. It's easy to get distracted by novelty, to think you need one more insight, one more book, one more strategy before you can act. But often, you already know enough. The problem isn't ignorance, it's lack of clarity. You haven't decided what matters most, so your mind keeps wandering. Pick a few core principles, the ones that truly resonate with you. Maybe it's discipline, or presence, or courage, or service. Then ask, what do I need to understand, internalize and apply every day to live this? Let that be your filter. Anything that doesn't support it, let it go, even if it sounds smart, even if it impresses others. If it doesn't move you toward your vision, it's noise. Next, build systems for retention. Take notes, revisit them, teach them, use them. Don't just collect quotes, live them. Don't just highlight books, extract insights and connect them to your own life. Because the goal isn't to be well read. The goal is to be well formed. And remember, organization is not rigidity. It's not forcing yourself into a box. It's structure that gives your growth direction. Without it, your mind becomes a cluttered room, full of potential, but too messy to move in. Think about it. If your mind were a workspace, would it be functional or chaotic? Would your knowledge be accessible or scattered across 1,000 digital files, articles, and unprocessed thoughts? If your goals are vague and your principles are blurry, how can your actions ever be sharp? Organizing your knowledge is how you respect your time. It's how you honor your attention. It's how you tell your mind, I'm not just collecting, I'm building. So instead of asking, what else can I learn? Ask, what truth have I already ignored? And instead of chasing more, ask, what's the next simple action I can take with what I already know? Because you don't need to know everything to begin. You just need to know what matters and have the courage to act on it day after day. And that's when knowledge stops being a burden and becomes a tool. 10. Design a living, flexible, and measurable plan. A dream without a plan is a wish, and a wish without action becomes regret. You can have the deepest desire in the world, the clearest vision, the strongest belief in yourself. But without a plan, your ambition floats. It drifts between hope and hesitation. It pulls at you emotionally, but never materializes into something real. That's why building a plan isn't just a strategic step. It's a spiritual one. It's how you tell yourself, this matters enough to commit to. Napoleon Hill said, "A goal is a dream with a deadline." And he was right. But the Stoics would add something more. They'd say that your plan must not only have a direction, it must be adaptable. Because life doesn't unfold in straight lines. It tests you, it throws obstacles, it reshapes your timeline. And if your plan is rigid, if it can't bend, it breaks. But if it's alive, if it moves with you, breathes with you, grows with you, it becomes something far more powerful, a system of resilience. Many people avoid planning because it confronts them with their own avoidance. It demands clarity, it requires decisions, and more than anything, it removes the illusion of control. Once it's written down, once the steps are visible, there's no hiding. You either do it or you don't. And that scares people, but that's exactly why it works. You don't need a perfect plan. You need a realistic one, something that reflects your current capacity but stretches you forward. Something you can measure, track, and adjust. Because if you can't measure it, you can't improve it. If you can't track it, you can't stay honest. Discipline needs structure, and structure doesn't limit you. It frees you. It tells your emotions, we're not depending on how we feel today. We're depending on the path we chose. So how do you build a living plan? You begin by reverse engineering. Start from the end. Visualize the result as vividly as possible, not just what it looks like, but what it feels like. Then ask, what are the milestones between here and there? What are the skills I need? What are the habits that must exist? Write them down, not as vague concepts, but as actions with dates attached. Not read more, but finish 2 books per month. Not get in shape, but work out 4 times a week and eat clean 80% of the time. Make it real, make it trackable. But here's the part most people miss. Review it often. Don't just set it and forget it. Your plan should be a living document, something you revisit weekly, something you refine as your clarity sharpens. Life changes, energy fluctuates, unexpected opportunities show up. That's not failure, that's feedback. Your plan should serve your purpose, not imprison it. And when setbacks come, and they will, don't abandon the plan, adjust it. Recenter. Shorten the timeline if you must. Break it into smaller steps, but never let a bad week convince you to abandon a meaningful life. The Stoics were clear on this. What matters most is direction, not perfection, progress, not performance, movement, not applause. Your plan is not for the world, it's for you. It's your quiet contract with your future. So ask yourself, is my dream visible on paper? Can I tell in measurable steps whether I'm getting closer? Am I willing to revisit this plan, revise it, and stay loyal to it even when it's hard? Because here's the truth, no one is coming to save you. No one is going to build your future for you. But with a clear, flexible, and committed plan, you can save yourself. One step at a time, one day at a time, one choice at a time. And that's how dreams become real. 11. Surround yourself with a mastermind. Success is not a solo performance. It's a symphony. And if you're the only one playing, you'll never hear the full music of your potential. You can be disciplined. You can be clear. You can have an iron will and a detailed plan, but if you're surrounded by people who don't challenge you, who don't expand your thinking, who don't hold you accountable, your growth will be capped, not because you're not capable, but because you're breathing stale air. You're living in an echo chamber of your own limitations. Napoleon Hill called this the mastermind, a deliberate, chosen group of individuals who push you beyond what you can achieve alone. People who don't just support your dream, but who demand your evolution, not out of criticism, but out of shared commitment to growth. This is not about having more friends. It's about having better conversations. Conversations that sharpen you. Conversations that leave you uncomfortable in the best way, because they expose where you've settled. The Stoics valued this too. Seneca advised choosing friends who would make you better, not just happier, but wiser. Friends who weren't afraid to tell you the truth. Friends who lived by principle, who embodied the very virtues you aspire to develop. Because who you spend time with seeps into you. Their habits, their mindset, their expectations. You rise, or you shrink, to the level of your circle. There's an old Zen proverb: if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And while solitude is necessary for inner alignment, collaboration is essential for outer expansion. You need mirrors. You need people who reflect your blind spots, your untapped potential, your unconscious patterns. You need people who won't let you lie to yourself, even politely. So ask yourself right now, who do I allow into my mental space? Who do I spend time with regularly? Do they challenge me or comfort my complacency? Do they live with integrity or just talk about it? Do they support my boundaries or subtly pull me back into old patterns? This is not about elitism, it's about alignment. A mastermind is a sacred alliance, not just of intellect, but of energy. It's about proximity to power, clarity, discipline. It's about surrounding yourself with people who've seen something you haven't yet and are willing to pull you toward it. And if you don't have those people yet, don't wait. Start looking. Be intentional. Read the books of great minds. Follow thinkers who live the way you want to live. Join small communities that reflect your values, not your vices. If you can't find the right table, build one, and be someone others would want to sit with, not just because you inspire them, but because you hold yourself accountable to the same standard you expect from them. A mastermind doesn't just help you reach goals faster. It makes you bigger than your goals. It stretches your vision. It accelerates your growth. It gives you that push on the days your fire dims. Because no matter how self-disciplined you are, there will be moments of doubt. And in those moments, a single sentence from the right person can redirect your entire course. So don't try to do this alone. Mastery was never meant to be solitary. 12. Success is a matter of choice, not chance. There comes a moment in every journey where the excuses begin to sound hollow, even to yourself. A moment when you realize that no amount of wishing, waiting, or wondering will build the life you want. That moment is where everything changes. Not because of luck, not because the stars aligned, but because you made a choice, a real, final, non-negotiable decision to stop hoping and start moving. Napoleon Hill put it clearly: the most powerful time to act is always the present, not tomorrow, not when you feel ready, not when life is perfect. Now, because every second you spend hesitating is another second handed over to fear, doubt, or distraction. And if you keep giving your future away in pieces, don't be surprised when there's nothing left to build with. The Stoics would agree. For them, life wasn't something to be waited on, it was something to be mastered. They believed that your external conditions might be unpredictable, But your responses, your actions, your decisions, those are always yours. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That's not just philosophy. It's a challenge, a call to arms, a demand that you stop surrendering your agency in a world that's constantly trying to define you. Look around you. So many people wait for permission. They wait for signs, for a mentor, for the market to change, for someone to choose them. But success, real, lasting, grounded success, doesn't come from being chosen. It comes from choosing yourself. From waking up, looking in the mirror, and saying, "This is on me now, and I'm ready." This is where we separate the dreamers from the doers, the ones who want it, and the ones who are willing to become it. Because success isn't found. It's built. It's carved out of early mornings, late nights, disciplined routines, hard decisions, and 1,000 silent moments where you stayed committed while no one was watching. And here's the paradox. Once you accept that success is a matter of choice, not chance, you stop fearing failure. Because failure is no longer fatal. It's feedback. It's data. It's something you can learn from, adapt to, and build upon. But if you believe success is based on luck, then every setback feels like a curse. Every obstacle feels personal, and eventually you'll quit. Not because you couldn't succeed, but because you believed it wasn't meant for you. So stop asking, "Will this work?" and start asking, "How long am I willing to stay in the game until it does?" Stop saying, "What if I'm not good enough?" and start saying, "What needs to be improved?" Because you were never meant to float through life waiting to be rescued. You were meant to stand, to decide, to direct, to declare, "This is my life, and I choose what it becomes." Right now, in this moment, you are one decision away from changing everything. Not a big leap, just one step, one action, one bold yes to the path ahead. Don't wait for permission. You already have it. Everything we've explored today, every principle, every quote, every challenge, points back to one core truth. You are the architect of your life, not your past, not your circumstances, not your doubts. You. What you desire, you can pursue. What you pursue with clarity, discipline, and faith, you can become. But it won't happen by chance. It will only happen if you choose, and keep choosing, to live with intention. There's no magic formula, just timeless principles echoed by Stoic wisdom and reinforced by experience. Desire is the beginning, decision is the turning point, and discipline is the bridge that carries you across. You don't need to wait for life to hand you anything, because the most powerful force you'll ever meet is your own commitment, repeated daily, in silence. So ask yourself now, which of these 12 truths do I need to apply today? Not all of them, just one. Start there, with focus, with honesty, with urgency, and when doubt returns, because it will, don't ask for certainty. Ask for the next step, then take it, and another, and another. You're not here to be passive. You're here to build, to rise, to live like your time matters. So if this episode stirred something in you, don't let it fade. Make a decision. Share it in the comments. Start your plan. Find your people. And take action now. Because success doesn't respond to hope. It responds to movement. If this resonated, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, and share this with someone who's ready to wake up their ambition. Your life won't change when the world notices you. It changes the moment you do.